I'm constantly reading, constantly nonstop, 24/7, 365. I'm learning new things. I am evolving and growing, because if I didn't, then you would just have, 2020, Michael? I'm Michael Mogill, founder and CEO of Crisp, the nation's #1 law firm growth company. I've built my business through practice, not theory. Crisp started with just $500 to my name and has grown to over 8 figures in revenue over the last few years, earning a spot on the Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. Our approach has been to take everything we've learned about generating massive growth within our own organization and help the country's most ambitious and committed law firm owners do the same for theirs. In each episode of this podcast, I sit down with innovative market leaders from the legal industry and beyond to learn from those who thrive in the face of adversity, challenge the status quo, and define what it means to be a true game changer.
This is Jessica, Head of Coaching Strategy at Crisp, and today we're flipping the script for another special edition episode to get Michael's take on how to keep marketing content fresh and know when it's time to pivot, the best way to get your team on board with new AI strategies, and making sure your client experience becomes a key driver for growth.
No matter how many awards you get and how much notoriety you receive and how many books are written about you, if you're not constantly auditing that experience, someone might have the experience that we had. Just go to your clients and say, look, I want your feedback. Not just how was your experience, but come to them with the question of how could we have made your experience better?
That's coming up on the Game Changing Attorney podcast. All right, welcome back to AMMA.
We're back. I don't know, some of you may have thought after 400 episodes, that was it.
We're going to tap out.
No, we're going all the way to 1,000. So excited to be back. We actually went out of town, and now we're actually back in town. We went to New York City. I want to be a part of it. You know, the thing I realized when we were in New York is that people who live in New York, they really love New York. Like, they just love it. And it was a great experience taking the kids for the Broadway tour. Went and saw Hugh Jackman and the Greatest Showman, and then also the Lion King show, which was also very, very impressive.
So impressive. Yeah.
It was a fun several days. I mean, we covered a lot of ground. We went to Bluey's house.
Yep. Which
was like a life-size replica of Bluey, like the Healer family.
Yes.
And you could walk through every room. And this was awesome. Like, they had clues everywhere. You'd find things, and there's just like a lot of Easter eggs from the show. That was a lot of fun. Let's see what else. We had dinner at Carbone.
We did
one night, and then
we went to the zoo.
Well, yeah, we did go to the zoo. The zoo was kind of mediocre. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, like, this zoo, I was like, where are the animals? Right? I mean, look, there's like a seal in the middle. And
penguins, they remembered
and
the
there's
penguins.
like bugs and stuff, right? Like you could see like, oh, here's the ants, right? They have a little magnifying glass, and then like here's the bats, and they're all behind like plexiglass, of course. But I'm like, look, where are the zebras?
Yeah, there were no safari animals.
Yeah, where are the giraffes? nothing of the sort. So
thankfully, we were going to Lion King after, so Misha still got to see said animals.
Exactly. So I was like, are we missing a part of this zoo? Like, is there like, I mean, there's like butterflies and toucans and all that. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but there were no rhinoceroses, right?
No.
I mean, it's just, I guess it wouldn't make sense to have it in the middle of Central Park, but, I digress. What else did we do? We had some great gelato, got a lot of steps.
Lots of steps.
Ate some great bagels.
Yep.
Had a gluten-free pizza. I mean, I could tell, I could go on and on and on about all the things that we did across all these different days, but we do love our children.
We do.
So
yes,
I will just...
we took them to FAO Schwartz,
yeah.
And you can leave it at that.
Yeah. So if you haven't been to New York lately, just know there's a lot of great shows, like a lot of great shows on Broadway. You and I went earlier this year, and we saw some shows of Broadway you wouldn't take your kids to.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, came back, amazing experience, just an amazing time. You have like a great weekend. You can cover a lot of ground, do a lot of things, eat a lot of great food. I mean, just the food is phenomenal. Like, there's just no shortage of food spots and little different pockets in the city. But overall, we're back here in Atlanta.
Yes.
And we're recording another AMMA. So just what do we got this week? I'm curious. I usually say, like, if you have some questions you want to send to us, you can text us at 404-531-7691. we might answer them on the show. And if this is your first time tuning into an episode, we do different types of episodes on this podcast, like the interview format, the AMA, which you're listening to, and then the encore editions. But, we'll just breeze past all that. And then if you get any sort of value from the show, you can go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a review or share the show. It helps us reach more people. But we're not going to get into all that this time. So let's just get to the questions, Jessica. What do we have this week?
All right. So to kick us off with question number 1, hey, Michael, I have a question for you. You've done 400 podcast episodes. How is it that you continue to come up with new material? And when do you decide to pivot? I have a YouTube channel and I have 700 videos. When is it that we should decide to pivot? Because at some point, perhaps we run out of subject matters that are interesting to the audience.
Oh, well,
it's whatever's in your brain.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news in regards to this question, but 400 episodes in, I've been saying the same thing for 13 years. Literally, it's on the same thing, the same topics. We talk about, let's say, business, leadership, growth mindset, marketing, culture, team, personal growth. It's the same topics, and I'm saying the same things for 400 episodes. It's just what changes is it's maybe you can set it from a different lens, or it's, you add a little bit of color to it. But I'm convinced that I used to think that everybody wants to hear something new and something different. Okay, I used to think that. And I remember when in the early days of Crisp, I would create presentations and they would just be completely innovative and just come up with something that no one had ever come up with before. Right. And I'd spend a lot of time, because I was putting out presentations maybe like once a week, right? Just something new, some completely groundbreaking thing that no one had ever heard before. And then I realized it's like, look, you have to figure out what does your core audience care about? And then really, I don't want to sound like cliche here, but it's kind of like, what is your truth? Like, what is something that you're passionate about? And really, everybody's saying the same thing. Sometimes people just hear it a certain way after hearing it 5 times or 10 times, or they hear it from somebody. Think about it this way. I remember years ago when I was a DJ and I would be opening up for a lot of bigger DJs. One time it was for David Guetta. And I remember that there was, what song was it? What song? Which of David's songs was it? Now that the love is gone.
So many tunes
okay,
today.
So this was, in the opening set, you're not supposed to play their songs, right? But I snuck it in, right? Because Dave wasn't going to come on for another hour, but the club was packed, right? And I wanted to get him hyped up for David Guetta. And I played one of David's songs, and the room goes pretty good. They're like, yeah, right? Okay, then David comes on, okay, about, an hour later. David plays the same song. The room explodes.
Yes.
Same exact song on the same turntables going through the same speakers at the same volume. So what was the difference? And sometimes, what I realized in that moment, they just had to hear it from David, right? It didn't matter they were hearing it from me. So when I look at it from the standpoint of a lot of the things that I'm saying, it's probably not the first time that you're hearing it, but it maybe means something different coming from me or coming from me right now in this moment, right? As opposed to a year or two ago when you were maybe at a different stage in your life or in your business journey, anything like that. It's all repetition. We have a program called Social Stack as a marketing offering, and it's just being relentless on social media and on digital, and just hitting this level of effective frequency where people continue to see the same messaging again and again and again and again and again until they start to really build brand affinity. And it's the same thing in your business. At our all hands meetings, how many times have I shared, here's our vision, here's our goals, so that everybody can recite it. And we do it at every single all hands meeting for probably the last 10 plus years. And it's not that they show up and they go, oh, we've heard this before. Sometimes they have to hear it 12 times a year, okay? And that's how people start to really become much more receptive to that messaging. It's not just hearing it once or twice. You see online, sometimes you have to see an advertisement 20, 30, 40, 50 times before it starts to resonate with you. So in regards to the new content, the other answer I could give is just data. Our team looks at the data of every single episode, and we look across month trends, quarterly trends, and we look at just in terms of what is the average length of time people are listening, which episodes are the most popular, what topics did we cover. And as long as those metrics trend upwards, we're going to produce more of that content because it tells us that's what people are interested in. So that's the data-driven answer. I'm not going to not go there. Obviously, if the podcast was tanking and less people were listening month over month over month, then we'd change things up. But the opposite is happening. More listening every single month. We have way more listeners this year than we had last year, and the same thing compared to the year before. And as this content becomes more and more interesting, I'll give you a prime example, the AMAs. I didn't know we'd still be doing these things. We just had an idea because we needed a filler episode one time in between guests of hey, can you just do a Q&A? And then that episode was really popular, and we said, let's do another one. And then now we do them all the time. And they're some of our most popular episodes. They're more popular than the episodes where we bring on guests. So that was a data-driven decision. But in terms of like the topics, I mean, one, I'll say as a benefit, I have you all that listen to the show submit questions.
Yeah.
So we're never going to run out of content because we have thousands of questions that you all submitted and continue to submit. And sometimes the question pertains to a personal injury firm or a criminal defense firm or a family law firm or a estate planning firm or a firm at $1 million in revenue or 50 million in revenue, or it's a team challenge or a leadership challenge or a personal growth challenge or something health related or family. I mean, there's a surplus of topics that hasn't even like crossed my mind. Then let's get to the mediums, right? So we've got this medium. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something like that, we also put out video versions of the podcast. Some people watch them on YouTube. We also shorten some of the episodes into like short bits that you can consume. This is for people that just are scrolling through their news feed. They can see a piece of an episode or a podcast, then that can draw them into the actual whole episode as a whole if there's something interesting for them there. So there's a way to distribute that. But I'd say it really is a data-driven decision. But ultimately, I focus less on are we going to run out of content, and more around the fact of like, is this a message and theme that's resonating with people? And what is something that I am especially passionate and excited about? Like, I'm not going to turn this into a cooking show. I mean, I love to cook, but I'm not really a chef, right? It's just not something I really know a whole lot about. And I stay within this zone of things that I know and I understand and I continue to learn and grow and improve in. And that's also, I mean, I'll give you another thing. One of the things that was a bit of a risk that we started talking about on the podcast probably a few months ago was a lot of the health stuff. And a lot of like just focusing on health and longevity. And somebody could join this podcast and be like, look, man, I just want to grow my law firm.
Right.
I don't want to hear about saunas and cold plunges and nutrition and recovery and all that stuff. Just tell me, what do I need to do? But I don't think you can separate those two things. I don't think that you can grow a law firm continuously over time and not be managing yourself and leading yourself appropriately. So the two go hand in hand to me. It's like health and wealth are like interconnected, right? It's like chicken or the egg, right? Like they both are required for a law firm to grow. And if this is a law firm growth podcast, then that piece is essential. Similarly, how we sometimes talk about our family on the podcast and like relationship stuff on the podcast. One, it's because people have asked. And two, it's because this is, you really got to look at your whole self.
Yes.
It's not just, hey, did our revenue go up this year? It's, do we enjoy how we spent our time? Are we kind of living in alignment with our values? Are we engaged continuously? And the only people that roll their eyes to this stuff are the people that are fundamentally broken and are missing in one of these areas. So if you're trying to like have I wouldn't even say a well-rounded life, but an aligned life that's aligned with your values, well, that means it's probably going to mean that the firm is successful. It probably means that you have a great relationship with your family and your kids and your spouse. It probably means that you're healthy and energized. Like, you have to have all those different areas of your life on lock. So that's what we'll continue to talk about, because there's never ending amount of content. And the other piece I will say is I put the onus on me. This podcast is a great forcing function for personal growth and development. I'm constantly reading, constantly nonstop, 24/7, 365. I'm learning new things. I am evolving and growing, because if I didn't, then you would just have, 2020, Michael, right? And people want to see progress, but I know that every week there's an expectation that we want to be able to keep pace of where things are going and also kind of evolve our thinking. I have some perspectives that have changed and evolved over time, right? We've got new information, and I believe we're more evolved individuals in general. And I think it's important to be able to keep pace with that. So for that, I'm actually very grateful. So anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm not worried about running out of content at all, because you guys keep submitting content. And then the thing that keeps this format going is we have data that supports that more and more people are listening and consuming it.
Yeah, one thing I would say is wherever the content goes for this person, be authentic. Your audience will know. Like, if you're just trying to make up something, like if you try to talk about cooking, like, we know that's not really going to happen. So yeah. All right, question number 2. Hi, Michael. We just hired someone to help bring us into the AI world, and I'm trying to figure out how to leverage that person at a base level. And if you have suggestions on how to bring in a new person and train them and train the rest of the staff to make the best use of their time so that it's impactful to the firm from day one.
Brought in somebody like an AI expert. Now the firm's got to become AI enabled. Well, where do we begin? I remember years ago, people would hire futurists.
Yes.
Like a futurist, and they would bring them into their business. And what is a futurist, right? Somebody who can predict and see the future. And I mean, might be one of the most like insane titles ever created. And
Nostradamus here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's not merit to it, but for this level of prognostication of like, yeah, we think, there are going to be self-driving cars. It's like, okay, there are self-driving cars, just for the record. But as far as like an AI person, like how do you leverage them the most? It really comes down to what are your goals with AI. And this is really where I believe a lot of people fall short, in the sense that sometimes they look at AI and they jump straight to AI is going to replace humans. Put the AI and put the robots in place so we can just let go of half the company, or just like all of the company, so that the work can get done. And then I have these robots and I don't have to deal with human issues, right? No one's going to call in late or sick or anything like that. No one's going to take any PTO because the robots are going to just get it all done. Like that's, I guess, AI, right? But not really. And I would sooner look at it from the standpoint of using AI as a tool in your tool belt of how do we make our practice more efficient and more effective, and what can AI do that can free up our people to be able to be more like strategic in their work, to provide them with leverage. So for example, can we use it to increase the output of our team? Like, can everybody get an AI assistant that enables them to focus less on repetitive tasks and more on strategic tasks? Because it's like the human becomes AI enabled. And then AI is generally not great for if you're creating like something new. It's looking at from the standpoint of, and you know this better than me, Jessica, but just like things that are being done on a repeated basis that require a lot of, let's say, manual or data entry, or if you're doing any sort of like auditing, and you're looking at it from the standpoint of, well, how could we leverage AI so that a human being doesn't have to do this, that it can be done more efficiently, more accurately perhaps. And if there's already an existing workflow, if there's something that already exists, it's not like let's create something new to create a new use case for AI. It's usually better to look at it from the standpoint of what are the existing things that we have going on, and how could we add AI to that to make it more efficient, more effective, and like require less human hours to be able to do it. But then what are we going to do with those human hours, right? So you figure that out first and then work backwards from there. And I think a good KPI to look at when you bring in somebody like this is when you look at like human hours saved, and where they could be reattributed, right? So like if you're going to be freeing up someone from something, it's like, what are you freeing them up to do? And what are your thoughts? I mean, like leveraging AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, like you said, it's not to replace people. And I think that's the first thing of even like talking to the rest of the team, because I think a lot of people still have this fear of like, oh, AI is just going to replace me. And so our philosophy on that, though, is you will get replaced by someone using AI, but not by AI. So first, mindset, and really making sure the team understands what your intentions are with that. And then, like you said, anything that's repeatable, anything that's also manual. So wherever there's a chance for human error, where can AI extract that? Where can you use that instead? And so, especially if you're bringing on a person, this is more than like, hey, tell me the top 5 restaurants. Like, I would make sure, hey, I would even talk to the team. What are the most repeatable things? What are the things that give you the most frustration? What are the things that if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change? Great. Let's see if AI can take care of any of those things. So it's like, what's in it for them?
Some things it can help with, some things not yet.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's getting a sense of like, how do people spend their time?
Yeah.
What are the things that pull them away from perhaps activities that are the highest and best use of their time? And can AI play a role? And if it can, that could be a good use case. But I think it's maybe this person you bring in can do an audit of those things, go through, into every department and look at how work is done and what the workflows are, and where AI could make things run more efficiently or more effectively or more cost effectively. But then that also looking at from the standpoint that if we are able to integrate AI here, now this enables this person to be able to spend their time in this new way, which should hopefully help to increase output altogether.
Exactly. And I would even say, I think I've mentioned this on here before, I recently, earlier this year, met with the entire team of client journey. So it was like from the time a client signs on all the way through their journey, what does that look like on the team member side? What platforms are they using? What are the steps that they're taking? And actually understand and take the time to do that. So then you can look for inefficiencies and ways that you can improve it. All right, to round us out with question number 3 today. Hey, Michael, I own a personal injury law firm. My question is, I have done a lot of stuff to make my business where I don't have to be the only decision maker. And there's a lot of delegation going on and everything. Seems like my intake system is good and everything seems to be running smoothly. My question for you, how do I make the client experience the best that it can be? Because that's the issue. I think that is going to keep me from growing.
So it seems like everything's going great.
Except your client experience.
except the client experience, which may also be going great, but
Yes.
you want to make the best that it can be.
Yes.
I think the way to improve anything is to measure it. And that way you can have a baseline as to how are we doing and how do we improve from here. And in terms of things that are more like qualitative in nature, which you look at, let's say client experience, like, I mean, there's ways to quantify some of that, right? You look at like Net Promoter Score, and you look at things like survey feedback, and you just, in general, like referability. But when you look at qualitative and saying, well, how can we grade our client experience? I think the best way is to establish a baseline by auditing and saying, well, what is our client experience today? Like maybe it's good and we want it to be great. Maybe it's great and we want it to be even better than that. Maybe it's poor and we want it to be good, whatever it might be. But just like, how do we know? And when I say audit, it's understanding, well, what is at every touch point that a client might have with your law firm, everything from the intake to everything in terms of once they've signed on as a client and what their relationship is with, like the experience with case managers and with attorneys and like what happens in terms of afterwards, right? Even after the settlement's been dispersed, every single touch point in a client experience, like what does that look like? And it's auditing the calls, auditing the email exchanges, taking surveys, getting pulse checks. And it's just determining like, okay, well, what are the different areas that we can improve? You may find that intake is great.
Yeah.
And then once someone signed on for a client, then the level of communication or updates they receive on their case is leaving a bit to be desired. And the best way to know is to just collect that data and get that type of feedback. I'll give you an example. Like it's, I was mentioning it earlier in our New York experience.
Yes.
So we had the opportunity, went to 11 Madison Park, and this was a 3-star Michelin restaurant that was plant-based. Okay, they tell you this up front. They have you check a bunch of boxes and say, just so you know, I hope you know, there's no meat here, plant-based. And I was like, well,
we'll try it.
We'll try it out. I mean,
Yes.
It's got 3 Michelin stars, and you're expecting, okay, wow, like what else is 3 Michelin stars? Like the French Laundry,
Yeah.
right? And this is, we were expecting an unreasonable level of hospitality. And I'll tell you, the food was great.
The food was actually phenomenal.
Food was actually excellent. I mean, we're eating a pepper, right?
Right.
And I mean, there's another point there. Like they bring out the potato. I was so excited. I was like, the potato, right? Because before that, what do we have? Like lettuce. I was like, and then like a quarter of a tomato.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, here we go, potato. But seriously, the food was phenomenal. Like excellent. They did an amazing job. But the service.
It was very underwhelming.
Underwhelming. I mean, look, they did everything fine. Everyone was hospitable and they bring out the forks and the plates and, there's that. But at no point did I feel like they welcome there.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that we were celebrating a milestone and they brought out like a little card, but it didn't even have our names on it or anything like that. It just said like, congratulations. And then at the same time, it wasn't just, there was no information on wine pairings. There was no like, are you enjoying this? It's just nothing. I mean, I literally felt like our server was a cyborg, okay? Like we're talking about AI. Maybe we had an AI experience at that dinner because it was just so robotic.
Yes.
And maybe it's a New York thing, maybe it's a New York thing, right? And I'm not going to blow them up on Yelp, right? Because then I get a phone call and all that. But, and again, it was good food. Strap in for 3 to 4 hours. I will say that.
That part was a little painful.
You're just sitting there waiting. Okay, when's the next quarter tomato coming out?
We started playing a game.
Guessing how long over or under before the next course comes out. Because I don't know if we're gonna make it, man. We're blowing past our bedtime, And dinner started at 6:30. We left there. It was past 10, like 10:30. Wow, right? So anyway, my point with this whole tale is that I don't know when the last time was that they audited this type of experience, and I say that in the sense that nobody even asked. I mean, there was a few misfires. They filled up my water, like I had sparkling water. They filled it up with with still water. Again, this is not a big deal whatsoever.
No,
unless there's a 3-star Michelin, you have an expectation for not just the food but the service. That's how they earn those stars, and then you have a certain standard. That is an expectation when you go to a restaurant like that. Like I don't expect that standard at Moe's, right? Or Chipotle.
Right.
Right? It's like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just, or Outback Steakhouse. But when you go there, you have an expectation for, okay, like this level of service is going to be above and beyond, probably among the best in the world, because that's how they earn that. So I do think it's like if you want your client experience to be above and beyond, it's constantly auditing every single touch point. Like I remember we went to my favorite restaurant in Atlanta, Atlas. And we had an interesting experience because we ordered at the end of dinner the tea.
Oh, yeah. It was a tea infusion.
And the server comes around and he's like, look, this is a new thing we're doing and I really would love your feedback. Right out of the gate, he's like, please let us know what are all the ways in which we can improve this, because they bring out this whole cart with like plants and stuff.
Herbs.
And
yeah.
And then you get to like pick the different herbs and they like cut them and like grind them down and create this tea for you. It's actually really cool. And he's like, look, please give me feedback. Where can we improve this? You guys are like the third group to even order this tea infusion. And I gave him feedback, right? So I was like, I think this is lacking a little bit of biscotti, right? And then I think what was my other feedback? That when they brought out the tea and the plate, it's all kind of crowded with all like the different sugars. I'm like, I don't want to add sugar to the tea anyway. So it's kind of like messy, right? I was like, I would put that on a separate plate just in case like not everybody wants, to add sugar to the plate, right? But it was just like minor stuff. And again, I'm getting nitpicky here, but this is because they asked for feedback. But I love that they did. Yeah. It didn't hurt the experience. It actually improved it. And I felt like, wow, like, these guys really care about getting better. And we're always going back. That's like, it's the best restaurant in Atlanta. I'm biased. I love it. Like Chef Freddie doing an amazing job at Atlas. But then you go to 11 Madison Park, right? And even though the food was great, right? It's nothing to do with being plant-based at all. The food was actually phenomenal. Service, right? Like, I could go on and on about all the different misfires, but
I think we've hit that.
But all I can say is just that I'm glad we had that experience, because it's very humbling, because no matter how many awards you get and how much notoriety you receive and how many books are written about you, if you're not constantly auditing that experience, someone might have the experience that we had,
right? And
say I've had like 8 people ask me about how was it, and I said food was great, service not so much. And because I'm answering honestly.
Right.
And they're shocked.
Yeah.
They're like shocked. So that's what I would do. I would start auditing every single touch point in your client experience, and like to be like Sherlock Holmes. And when you are asking your clients, just go to your clients and say, look, I want your feedback. Not just how was your experience, but come to them with the question of how could we have made your experience better? Or what can we do better to improve your experience? Because I want something productive. I want like something to do.
Tangible.
Like they might say, hey, it was great. Okay, but what could we do to make it even better? And that's where you're going to start to get really great feedback.
Absolutely. All right. That's all we've got today.
Until next time.
All right. You've been listening to the Game Changing Attorney podcast with Michael Mogill. If you found this episode valuable, here are 3 free ways that we can help you grow your law firm. Number 1, download the first chapter of Michael's book absolutely free at gamechangingattorney.com. Number 2, you can shoot Michael a text at 404-531-7691 and ask him any question you'd like. You might just hear the answer on the next episode. And finally, number 3, if you can leave this podcast a 5-star review, it will help us gain access to more influential thought leaders and bring their lessons learned here to you. For more information on this episode, see the show notes in your podcast app or visit legalpodcast.com.